Let's talk about male versus female longevity in the sport of MMA. I personally think that females have an advantage when it comes to longevity in the sport of MMA, and that is for two reasons. One is obviously the physical structure, the physiology, and the hormones, right? Because combat sport is a very testosterone dependent sport, and in women testosterone doesn't peak and fall like it does in men, so it gradually changes levels, and that's why women would have a advantage in competing even with younger people at an older age, so they can extend the longevity of their career. All right, even the way recovery happens and healing happens, recovery from injury happens in women is much more sustained and like smoother than it does in men, where it's majorly again testosterone dependent. And another thing that plays a major factor is the fact that the accumulative damage that happens over years is not as much as men face. All right, because men are into combat sport, also they are much more active than women. That is because of the lack of the talent pool and the popularity of the sport in men versus women. Men stay more active, they take more damage over the years, and that damage accumulates. All right, concussions build up over time. You saw this happen to Ronda Rousey. Eventually, she started blanking out due to the concussions. If you take enough damage, that accumulative damage really affects you, and men face that way more than women, which is why you will generally see men peak in the sport of MMA at the age of 28 to 33, whereas in women, the peak age is from 31 to 35 to even 37. All right, Amanda Nunes is a great example. Obviously there are outliers. There's like Valentina Shevchenko, who have been in combat sport throughout, have taken a lot of accumulative damage, but they are just outliers. They are way too good. You cannot pick an outlier to define the norm. It's an error that people make. People look at outliers and make them the norm. An outlier is not the norm. The norm is what most of the people are subject to. All right, and this is a major reason why I actually expect a lot of good female fighters to come up from India in the coming days, because we have grown very slowly in the sport. We are now at a level where we are looking at MMA as an integrative sport. So men do not have that much more time to evolve, right? Unless you have started at age 5, which is very rare. But women will have a 5-year advantage to actually evolve and get into the sport at a high level. Will they be champions? I don't know, but will they be able to make a mark? I definitely think there is potential, especially if we pick up people who are talented, who have the physicality for the sport, who have actually been in some sort of combat sport before, and then groom them properly into the sport of MMA. We might have some really good female MMA athletes coming from India. All right. And beyond that, the next generation, by that time, we would be ready to have some really good male talent that goes up really high in the sport of MMA in India. These are just my opinions. These are just my observations and statistics and my understanding from being in the sport and being in the field of sports physiology, nutrition, and science. And obviously, if you disagree, please share your views in the comments. And if you agree, let me know what are your observations. I'd love to collate all observations and use them when I do my discussions on my commentary on the UFC fights that happen on Sony in India, Sony Live and Sony Sports. This is Pushkaraj Shirke for Project Battlefit, and I hope this helped. Cheers.